Skorpion is all about experimentation. Tons of outputs and CV inputs allow for feedback paths that wouldn't be exposed on traditional wavefolder modules. So what we're going to do is we're going to experiment with different feedback paths, and then we're going to put VCAs within those feedback paths to make them more rhythmic and more controllable. So first we're going to start out by creating a waveform with some wavefolding. So I have a sine wave coming out of Legion. We're just going to set up Skorpion to make a cool waveform sound. That works. Next, let's find some feedback paths that sound cool. So we have all of these outputs here, of which we can take an output from. So let's just take out the DAC output, and let's run that into fold here. Now we're basically audio rate modulating the fold knob with the DAC, the DAC output here. Turn that back up. If we take that out, that's a difference in sound, right? So let's try a different output into fold. Got counter output. Take this difference output. It's pretty raw. Let's see what the target sounds like. All of these are going to have a different timbre depending on where they go. So I liked that difference output. So now what we'll do is we'll run that through a VCA first. So I'm using the Javelin VCA. We're going to go into fold again. And now you can see over here on my Metron, I'm sending triggers into Javelin to create that sound. Now let's put that in stereo width mode here. Hear what it sounds like in DC mode. And then back with our filters back on. Let's try a different output. Let's try the DAC again. Let's try equalize thresholds. Now let's try a different input. Let's put that into shift. So another thing we can do is we'll take this envelope that we're using and let's use that to just control another parameter. So I'm going to use fold here. There we go. So we've got the feedback CV path and we've got the fold just on an envelope. So let's try that. Let's try switching them. So we'll do the feedback path will go into fold, and then our envelope will go into all the thresholds. So if I put them all down, you can see that it's doing them on a weighted scale here. Take out that out. Ooh, yeah. So without the shift, and with that feedback modulation going through the VCA and back into shift. Equalize thresholds. Any CV going into fold with equalized thresholds is just rad. So another thing I want to try, instead of running the feedback modulation straight through a VCA, let's run it through a filter instead. We'll go out of that DAC out, and we're going to run that into Carbon. Then we're going to take the output of Carbon, and we're going to run that into one of these inputs, and we'll see what happens. So let's listen to what we've got first. Turn macro off. There we go. And then I liked it when we did fold. And why this is cool is now we can add even more modulation with like resonant filter, right? So we can either round off what's going in there in terms of modulation, or we can add to it with this. So now let's add an envelope into the carbon. When it gets so low, it's turning it into an LFO actually, because we're going below audio rate with the resonance here. So again, Skorpion is all about experimentation. Take those outputs, route them through other sorts of processors like a VCA, filter, anything that might change the character of that modulation source. Run it back into Skorpion and see what you get. So that's it for this one. Please like and subscribe. We got tons more Skorpion stuff coming down the pipe. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.